Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cycle of Volunteer Management. Our first session is on preparing for volunteers, but before we get started, I wanted to share with you what we're doing. For quite a while, we had done three-hour online sessions, but this now is a system where we're asking you to watch some brief videos and then prepare for 1 hour of live sharing for each of the 3 sessions. The timing will be about the same from your standpoint in that you'll need a couple of hours to prepare for the 1 hour of sharing, but you can do the 2 hours of preparation watching these videos and doing the pre-work on your own schedule at whatever hour you want over a cup of coffee and your jammies if you'd like. I do ask that you pay special attention to requests in red during the slides because they take you to the workbook pages you need to do, so you'll be ready when we join together for an hour of sharing. So we're starting with understanding volunteers. A very basic question is, who is a volunteer? That may seem really evident, but it's more complicated than you might think. Then we're going to look at what motivates volunteers. Why in the world do they show up at your program or whatever program and work without getting paid? And then we're going to look at what volunteer roles work for current volunteers. If yours is an older organization, you may have volunteer requirements that simply don't meet 21st century reality, and you may have trouble finding volunteers willing to fill those roles as you have them now described. So we're going to look at that too. But to get ready for that, I'd like to look at what's your vision for your program. I'm assuming you haven't reached the ideal or you wouldn't have signed up for this training. So what would that ideal program look like, and why doesn't it exist now? What's keeping your organization from achieving that vision that you might have so clearly? Note 2 or 3 factors that may be inhibiting reaching that goal, and we'll talk about them when we meet together. So we're here over the 3 sessions to identify the essentials of effective volunteer engagement and explore strategies that will help you get there. And by the end, you should be able to assess your program's needs. And this is important, identify at least 2 things you can do starting immediately to reach that goal. Will also help you access additional resources and assistance. So today in this session, we're going to look at who are volunteers, why are they there, and then help your organization get ready for them. Often when we talk about volunteer management, people want to start with recruitment. But if you recruit without having the foundation in place, it doesn't work very well, and you tend not to keep your volunteers. So we're going to build a foundation. So who's a volunteer? You might say, well, a volunteer works for free. Well, first of all, they don't work for free. They pay to do it. They may have had to buy some special clothes to wear. They may pay for transportation. They may pay for childcare and meals away from home, and their time is valuable. And besides, they're not free because your organization invests in them. So we need to work on defining who's a volunteer in your organization or any organization. Then we're going to look at why they're there and what you might do to attract them. Okay, what are the essential characteristics of a volunteer? We might say that it's totally voluntary. That's why we call it volunteer. But what if they are mandated to volunteer by the courts? Or what if they, quote, must volunteer in order to graduate or in order to get credit in a course? So that's a little fuzzier than we might think. And we might say they're not getting paid. But sometimes you have corporate volunteers who have paid time off from work to volunteer for you. So they're in somebody's payroll, just not yours. But are they volunteers? Think about that, and we'll be ready to discuss that rather thorny question when we meet together. And remember, though, that anyone entering your organization, no matter what their motivation was originally, is a potential volunteer and or a donor, and they're often both, if they have a positive experience. That puts your whole organization on alert to treat everybody well who enters your portals virtually or physically. And that's it for video 1.